auto component industry in India growing capabilities and strengths. To present this, we have the Executive Director of ACMA, Mr. Vinnie Mehta. Let me give you a little bit of information about Vinnie. He's an electrical engineer from IIT BHU, which he'll explain in a moment. An MBA from FMS, University of Delhi, and a Master's in International Trade from the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. He's been actively involved in promotion, growth and development of the auto component industry in India and has travelled extensively to represent the association at both domestic and international events. And we are delighted that he could be here with us to share his vast experience. Please welcome Mr. Vinnie Mehta this afternoon.
Very good afternoon to all of you, and thank you Automechanika for having me here. I'm delighted to be here, and I guess the team here we need to applaud them for the kind of show that they have put up. It's amazing. Thank you so much. I will quickly walk you through a few slides, maybe very crisply on the Indian economy. Aman has done a great job, so it makes it easy for me. I will talk to you about the automotive industry in India. I will talk to you about the component industry that I represent. I will talk to you very crisply on the policy environment in the country, and of course the capability and the challenges that we have, and of course what we could do together. We've been growing very, very well for the last 10 odd years. Last 5 years, the GDP growth rate was something like 8.5%. This year it's marginally lower. We should be somewhere anywhere between 5 and 6%. Indians are very self-critical. If it was a European country or it was US and you said 5 or 6%, they would say, wow, they would jump off the chairs. But we are so self-critical. We think, oh, 5% is so gloomy, So because we're coming on the back of a growth that was really 10%, but guys, there's a lot of hope. We think next 2 odd years post-elections, we'll be back on the growth path. We are a lot of people, 1.2 billion people, and in fact, that's the hope, We have a sizable population, almost 2/3 of our population that's very young, that's close to 30 years of age, and they are going to consume, and that's really the potential that India has today. I thought I'd share a very interesting slide with China. If you look at these slides, well, not these. So, oh, that's good. Thank you so much. If you look at when you look at this point, okay, this is the GDP, the real GDP, and this is the number of years of liberalization. So India liberalized somewhere in the year 91, 92, and China liberalized a decade ahead of India. And if you count the number of years, somewhere around 20, 22 years, and if you look at the India trajectory in blue, it's marginally better than that of China, okay? And we actually going to, this is a point of inflection, and India is probably going to outsmart China beyond this point. So the consumption in India is really going to grow big because, again, when the per capita income crosses something like 1,000 to 1,200 GDP, that's again a point of inflection. And consumption is going to happen here. So there's a lot of hope. And that's why I'm saying that somewhere around 5.5% that we're growing now, we would be really doing well in the next few odd years. And a quick look at the kind of infrastructural investment that's happening in the country, though it leaves much to be done. But there is a lot of hope because a lot of infrastructure investment happened in the last 5-year plan from the year 2007 to 2012. India works, the India development plans are all 5 years. So last 5 years we have invested something like $500 odd billion, and next 5 years we are doubling this, though as an industry we believe that this is still very, very small. Just to give you an information, sort of like we consume something like 20 million mobile phones annually, and the population of Dubai is something like 2 million. So we are 10 times of Dubai in mobile consumption alone. That's India for you. Very quickly from the automotive industry, there are 3 major hubs that you have in India: North, West, South. North is more sort of the largest hub here, followed by West and South. East, for historical reasons, has remained small. There are certain issues within that region, but the rest of it has grown very, very well. And if you look at every possible conceivable brand is manufactured, is present in India. And we have a new hub coming up in Gujarat. That's a new hub. We have Tata Motors, Maruti Suzuki, Ford there. GM is also there in Gujarat. So that's India for you. And just to give you a snapshot of the market size of vehicles by the countries that you had, this is essentially fast cars. And Indian market is very dominated by the Japanese car manufacturers. Historically, 2.5 decades ago, it was Suzuki Motors and it was Honda Motors that came into the country, and they really redefined the shape of the vehicle industry in the country. And even culturally, we are very Japanese dominated, although now we have a very significant presence of all, whether it's European brands or the American brands or the Korean brands. So, say if you compare to something like this, which was about 5 years ago, I stand corrected, this is 2012. So, Japanese cars market share was something around close to 60%, and now it's over 53%. If you look at US, European, their market share has grown. Koreans have significantly grown in size and market presence from 17% to something like 9%. And this is really sort of, we try to capture almost, you know, with a gap of a decade, look at the various kind of vehicle manufacturers that we had. So, you know, right beginning from the Indian manufacturers coming off the Suzuki somewhere around second half of 80s. And this is how really newer and newer vehicle manufacturers have come into the country. And what's very interesting, if you look at, none of these guys have gone out of India. They all remain there and they're all flourishing. That's India. Vehicle population in the country, not the population, the sales of vehicles. We did something like 3.2 million this year, and we believe that by 2020 we should be something like 9 to 10 million units. The cumulative growth was something like 14% from 2008 to 12. Essentially, the vehicle sales doubling every 5 months, every 5 years. Similar is the story for all the vehicles. If you look at the commercial vehicles, we think we'll be something like 2.5 million by 2020 from somewhere around 0.8 million today, or close to 1 million today. We are the world's largest manufacturer of tractors. In fact, India is emerging as a hub for small vehicle manufacturers, whether it is the tractors, whether it is the pass cars, which is in the A segment. Our market is dominated by A segment cars. 40% plus is A segment cars. LCVs are doing very, very well in the country despite sudden downturn in the commercial vehicle industry. 2-3-wheeler industry stands today something like 16.5 million units per annum, and we think will be 30 million units by 2020. But industry analysts say this is really a conservative figure, which should be somewhere around 35 million by 2020. Similarly, construction vehicle industry is also growing as the construction industry booms. Coming to the sector that I represent, the auto component industry is something like a $41 billion industry. There's a marginal dip in the industry this year. Well, this is an interesting notional dip if I may say so, because 11-12 the number was $42.4 billion, but last 1 odd year the rupee has depreciated by 20 odd percentage. In fact, there is a real growth in rupee terms in this market from about 7%. And we think by 2020 we will be something like $115 to $120 billion industry. We make practically everything under the bonnet, whether it is engine part, that's a third of our market, whether it is the transmission drives, which is about 20%, you have suspension, braking, everything conceivable India makes. In terms of exports, we are a $9.3 billion industry today. We think we'll be something like a $30 billion industry by 2020. The CAGR going forward is expected to be something like 16%. Europe happens to be our single largest partner in exports as well as import. I'll share that slide with you. North America is almost a quarter, Asia is another quarter. And the interesting thing is the Indian players, 80% of our market is OEM, and it's now that people are looking at the aftermarket. So aftermarket is like 20%. What is driving Indian exports is we have this new animal called the international procurement offices. So most OEMs and tier 1s have international procurement offices set up in India. Here is a list, it's a partial list, and they in fact help in sourcing out of India. Imports, a market that's growing has to have imports as well, that's balanced growth. We have something like $13.1 billion worth of imports this year, and it will be something like $35 billion by 2020. Europe is our single largest partner here, Germany, whereas in Asia, this figure looks large because there's a very significant imports that's coming in from China, $2 billion. There is imports from Korea, Thailand as well, Japan as well. And the interesting thing or of concern here is that the Chinese imports are mostly in the aftermarket, and unfortunately in India we do not have aftermarket products have a regulation, so this is a bit of a concern. We are working with the government, and hopefully in the next couple of years we will have standards for the aftermarket products in the country. Overall, we think by 2020 the industry opportunity is something like $150 billion, $85 billion coming from domestic consumption, $30 billion coming from exports, $35 billion is imports. We believe this could also be internalized and people can take up the challenge to manufacture in India. Aman did speak about the policy environment. In fact, a lot of people in the other industries are envious that the auto component or the automotive industry is a darling of the government. We have a framework under which we operate, which is called the Automotive Mission Plan 2006 to 2016. That's a roadmap. In fact, we have now embarked on revising this, and we will soon have a roadmap till 2026. The industry is totally non-regulated. We don't need any licenses or approvals. We are WTO compliant. We have a very robust legal system in the country. We promote 100% FDI. So this is leading to a growing industry. Almost everybody conceivable in the auto component world, tier 1s, they're all in India, whether it's a Borg Warner or a Continental or a Delphi, whether it's a European company or an American or a Korean or a Japanese, or even a Thai. In terms of our capabilities, highly quality conscious. Quality is now taken as a given. We have 12 Deming Award companies in the country, which is highest outside of Japan. There is Japan Quality Medal and so on and so forth. What's very, very interesting is that the aspiration of the industry is to move from, we are a build-to-print industry today, and our aspiration is to move to art to part. We essentially want to do value addition. We want to have our own IP. That's the goal that we have. And I have just illustrated some of the companies which are non-component IT companies or even aerospace companies I just wanted to give you a feel that a lot of the companies from outside of India are actually investing in India as an hub for R&D and engineering. And there are very many automotive component companies as well, or automotive industry that's doing so. A growing market and an emerging market has its challenges. Cost of capital is very high in India. That's one of the biggest challenges that the industry faces. We do have our set of challenges in infrastructure, roads, ports, power, but there is hope. As I said, this plan they're going to double the investments. There is inflation, that's a challenge, but right now the inflation seems to be under control. I'm showed something like we need 25 million more people, and that's going to be a challenge for us. Scaling up is an issue, as OEMs become multi-locational, we, the component industry, gets a little stretched in terms of our managerial depth. And of course, R&D competence is a challenge, though it's an aspiration for us that we would move up the value chain. Having said that, in conclusion, we are a vibrant economy. You're looking out if you're not there. Automotive industry is expected to have double-digit growth. We think will be something like by 2020 we should be something like $115 billion industry. We have growing capabilities in engineering and IT, respect for IPR, there is no violation at all ever reported. And we are there for you to partner with us, whether it's in product or process innovation. And of course, you can outsource from India, whether an OEM, Tier 1 or even an Aftermarket. That's all I had to share with you. And very quickly about ACMA. We are old association, or a mature association, that's the right word to say. We were set up in the year 1959. We are the apex body for the auto component industry. We have today something like 680 members. We represent 85% of the industry by its turnover. We enjoy a lot of blessings of the government, whether it's state or center. We have offices across north, south, east, west. And we are one of the few associations in the world, if I may say so, that are ISO 9001, 2008. We do almost everything that an association is supposed to do. So thank you very much for having me, and I'll be very happy to answer any questions if you have. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm conscious of time, and I'm aware that, of course, we have our next speakers ready to come on. What I'd like to do, because we've got two of the two experts in their field from the automotive industry in India, and after their presentations, I'm kind of aware that there might be some questions that you might like to ask them. As we've got them in the room, let's just grab them and see if there's any questions that you have that you want to have some more information on. So let's start with whoever's got a couple of questions. Let's start me anywhere, as they say. Here's your chance. They are the authorities. And you are in the same room as these authorities from India. Don't want you to walk around saying, I should have asked that question. No? Okay. Thank you. We have a question here.
Hello. How big is the unoiled... Yeah, hello. Yeah, my name is Javed, and I'm based in Dubai. I come from India. How big is the auto ancillary industry which is unorganized?
Okay, the auto ancillary industry, the component industry, in terms of units, I don't know the number. The universe could be as large as 5,000 to 6,000. Okay, I do not know, because it runs down into even way beyond single entrepreneurial little garage operations. Okay. Having said that, we represent almost 85% of the industry by turnover. So that's how it is. The overall value-wise size of the auto component industry is somewhere around $41 billion. And I should have mentioned here the aftermarket is somewhere around $6 billion. And aftermarket is very unorganized, although it's growing, it is witnessing a lot of evolution, because we are investing in helping the industry evolve. We are working with the government to have standards for products in the aftermarket. We have a drive to sort of help the consumer understand what is nakli and what is asli. Nakli means fake and asli means real. We run these campaigns. We run these campaigns even at the Automechanika India that we have. But again, what we do is a little drop in the ocean because we have 1.2 billion population. A lot needs to be done. Yes.
Thank you. One more question. Yeah.
Sir,
Should be on.
after the removal of DEPP, there is a big depth in the margins of the auto component industry because the drawback is the half of the DEPP now. So, do you have any suggestions to the government about this?
No, I am a voice of the industry. You tell me, I will take with the government if you have a solution. The DEPP was a non-WTO compliant incentive that the community was getting. We are working with the government to have more compliant incentives, if I may say so. But if you have any suggestions, I'll take on board. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
I'd
you.
like to add on to that.
Yeah, sure.
Talking of DPP is being replaced now, and you have incentives of FMS and FPS, which is focus market schemes, which are given 3 to 4%. They do replace your DPP and with the appreciation of the rupee.
But the focus market schemes are for the countries which are not well developed.
Which are 60 countries, that's practically the universe where you're exporting to. And you are getting your drawback, which is 3%. So you're practically compensated by what you were getting earlier. And also the rupee appreciation, the dollar appreciation is...
The appreciation is good and bad also because
you want a stable dollar,
because you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. Today you are going to give some rates and tomorrow it's going to fall down. Then nobody is going to upgrade your rates.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking our two special guests this afternoon, Mr. Vinnie Mehta and Mr.